Officer Hejun sat at his post in the quiet monitoring room. The Narukthi outpost floated in the empty space of the Arcturine sector. Nothing ever happened here. Most days, Hejun just watched empty space on his screen. He liked it that way. The room hummed with the soft sounds of machines. 6 other officers worked at their stations, checking data and sending reports. The walls glowed with a soft blue light that matched the natural glow of Narukthi skin. Everyone was calm and focused. Hejun's 2 antennae suddenly moved on their own. They always did this when something was wrong. He looked closer at his screen. A small dot blinked at the far edge. He checked the energy readings and frowned. "That's odd," he muttered to himself. The readings didn't match any known ship type. The energy pattern looked different, stronger somehow. Hejun felt his heart beat faster. His blue skin darkened with worry. "Commander Johan," Hejun called out. His voice echoed in the quiet room. "I'm detecting an unidentified vessel entering Sector 7. Commander Johan was the oldest Narukthi on the station. His skin could change colors to show his mood. Right now, it was a calm blue as he moved across the room. Unlike other Narukthi who walked, Johan's body hovered just above the floor. It was a mark of his high rank and age. "Show me," Johan said, floating to Hejun's station. Hejun pointed to the blinking dot. "It appeared 3 minutes ago. It's moving straight toward us." Johan's skin rippled with small lights. "Run the identification protocols." Hejun nodded and pressed a series of buttons. The station's AI began to analyze the ship's energy pattern. Everyone in the room had stopped working to watch. The quiet seemed heavier now. "Identification in progress," the AI's voice announced. "Analyzing engine signature, analyzing hull composition, analyzing movement pattern." 10 seconds passed. 20. 30. Hejun felt sweat on his forehead. The AI was taking too long. That meant the ship was either unknown or... A sharp alarm suddenly blasted through the room. Red warning symbols appeared on all screens. The calm blue light of the room changed to flashing red. "Match found," the AI announced. "Vessel identified as human warship HSS Relentless. Class: Destroyer." The screen showed a recording. The human ship fired strange energy beams that cut through Narukthi ships like they were made of paper. Explosions bloomed in space. One human vessel destroyed 17 warships in 20 minutes. Over 2,000 Narukthi died. "We still don't understand how they did it." Tai Sung's antennae drooped with horror. "But that was 50 years ago. Maybe they're different now." "Humans don't change," Johan said firmly. "They're unpredictable. They don't fight by any rules. They pretend to be peaceful until they suddenly aren't. They've never come this far into our territory before. Something must have changed. Something must have made them angry." On a large view screen, they could see outside the station. 12 Narukthi defense ships had broken away from their regular patrol positions. They rushed to form a protective line between the station and the approaching human vessel. The ships were small and lightly armed, not designed for real combat. "Those ships won't stop them," Hejun said quietly. Commander Johan nodded. "No, they won't, but they might slow them down enough for help to arrive." He turned to the remaining officers. "Send emergency signals to all nearby systems. Request immediate military support." As the crew worked, Johan stared at the screen showing the approaching human ship. It moved steadily forward, not too fast, not too slow. Just relentless, like its name. "Why now?" Johan whispered to himself. "After all these years of peace, why come here now?" The human ship grew larger on the screen. Everyone in the room held their breath. The first contact with humans in 50 years was about to begin, and no one believed it would end peacefully. The Grand Council chamber sat at the heart of the Galactic Union station. It was a huge round room with tall windows that showed the stars outside. The chamber had been built 500 years ago, when the 7 most powerful species in the galaxy decided to work together instead of fighting. Now all 7 seats around the glowing round table were filled. This was rare. Usually, only 3 or 4 members showed up for regular meetings, but this was not a regular meeting. Elder Kaiho of the Velthan species stood up. His skin was pale gray and he had 4 arms. The Velthon were the oldest species in the galaxy and often led the council. This emergency session of the Galactic Council is now in session, Kaiho announced. His voice was deep and calm, but his eyes showed worry. The other 6 representatives sat nervously in their special chairs. Each chair was designed for a different species. Some were water-filled tanks. Others had special supports for wings or tails. "Why have we been called here with such urgency?" asked Delegate Bajin of the Moraki. The Moraki looked like large birds with 4 eyes and scales instead of feathers. Ambassador Juri of the Naruthi stood up quickly. Her blue skin flashed with patterns of fear. She waved her data pad in the air. "The humans have breached our territory." Her voice was high and shaky. "Their warship, the HSS Relentless, is moving directly toward our primary research outpost." The chamber filled with worried whispers. Some representatives turned to their assistants, asking questions. Others looked horrified. "Humans? Are you certain?" asked Delegate Wu Jin of the Krell. The Krell were large and strong, with rocky skin and 3 legs. They rarely showed fear, but now Wu Jin's voice trembled. "Our sensors confirmed it," Juri said. "It's definitely a human warship." "How many ships?" asked Delegate Bajin. "Just 1," Juri replied. "1 ship?" Bajin laughed. "And you called an emergency session for that?" Elder Kaiho raised his hand for quiet. Those who remember history know that 1 human ship is enough reason for concern. He nodded to Admiral Ianho, who sat to his right. Ianho was the military leader of the Union fleet. He was a Terex, with red skin and a body that looked like a mix between a human and a lizard. 4 short horns crowned his head. Ianho stood up and touched a control on the table. A large hologram appeared in the center of the room. It showed empty space at first. "For those who have dismissed my reports over the years, let me remind you of the Proxima incident," Ianho said. His voice was rough and serious. "This happened 50 years ago." The hologram showed several large warships. They surrounded a single, smaller vessel. "Our fleet encountered a human ship that had entered protected space," Ianho continued. "When ordered to leave, the humans refused. Our commander at the time decided to show force." The hologram showed the large ships firing warning shots. Then the small human ship began to change. Parts of it moved and shifted. New weapons appeared. "What happened next shocked everyone," Ianho said. "The hologram showed bright flashes as the human ship fired. One by one, the larger ships exploded in silent bursts of light. Within minutes, only floating pieces remained. 17 warships destroyed in under 20 minutes by a single human vessel," Ianho said. The room was completely silent now. Their technology isn't more advanced than ours. It's their unpredictability that makes them dangerous. Ianho touched the controls again. The hologram changed to show images of human faces. Humans look simple. 2 arms, 2 legs, soft skin. But they think differently than any species we've encountered. They make creative leaps that we can't predict. Their weapons follow no logical pattern. Their tactics change constantly. Ambassador Maisu of the peaceful Iltharians raised her slender hand. The Iltharians looked like tall, thin humans, but with silvery skin and large eyes. "But we haven't had contact with humans in nearly 50 years," Maisu said softly. "They retreated to their own systems after the Proxima incident. They've shown no aggression since then. Shouldn't we attempt diplomacy?" "Diplomacy," General Hyunwoo of the Barracus military shouted. The Barracus were large warriors with thick plate-like armor growing naturally on their bodies. Hyunwoo pounded his armored fist on the table, making everyone jump. "Are you mad? We should strike first. Show them our combined might. Strike first and start a war," Misu replied. one that we might not win. The humans only have one ship in our territory, Kanbu argued. We have hundreds. This is our chance to show them our strength. Elder Kehoe raised all four of his hands for silence. Let's not be hasty. We need more information. Juri touched some controls, and the main screen changed to show the human warship. It moved steadily through space. Several smaller Narukthi ships followed it at a safe distance. We've sent standard greeting messages on all frequencies, Juri said. The human ship ignores them all. It won't respond to any communication. Where is it heading? Asked Wu Jin. Directly toward our research station in Sector 7, Juri replied. That station holds our most advanced biological research. If the humans steal that research. She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. We must protect the research, Hyunwoo said firmly. Send the fleet. And risk starting a war. Meisu countered. We should send a diplomatic vessel first. The argument grew louder. Representatives stood up, pointing fingers and shouting. Only Elder Kehoe remained seated, watching with sad eyes. Junho, a young assistant to Ambassador Juri, leaned closer to her. Why are they so afraid of humans? They're just one species from a small part of the galaxy. Juri looked at her assistant with surprise. You don't understand because you're too young. The humans were not meant to reach space so quickly. Most species take thousands of years to develop from simple tools to space travel. The humans did it in less than 3,000 years. Is that bad? Junho asked. It's unnatural, Juri whispered. They skipped important developmental stages. They went from fighting with metal sticks to splitting atoms in just a few hundred years. They never learned patience or caution. On the main screen, the human ship continued its steady course. It moved like it had all the time in the world, like it wasn't being followed by nervous alien ships. Look at it, Admiral Yunho said, pointing at the screen. It's not even at full speed. It's not running or hiding. It moves like it has nothing to fear from us. Elder Kehoe stood up slowly. The room fell silent. We have two choices, he said. Attack or talk. If we attack and win, the other humans will come in greater numbers. If we attack and lose, we show weakness. But if we talk and find peaceful solutions, we may avoid conflict altogether. He looked around the table. I propose we send a diplomatic vessel. 3 representatives from different species. Show them we come in peace but also in unity. General Hyunwoo growled but said nothing. All in favor? Kehoe asked. 6 hands raised. Only General Hyunwoo kept his hand down. Then it is decided, Kehoe said. We will attempt diplomacy first. Ambassador Meisu, as our peace expert, you will lead the mission. Admiral Yunho, you will go to represent our military. And Ambassador Juri, since this is your territory, you will be the 3rd representative. The 3 named representatives nodded, though Juri's skin flashed with patterns of fear. But Kehoe added, we will not be foolish. General Hyunwoo, prepare the fleet. Keep them at a distance, but ready to act if diplomacy fails. Hyunwoo nodded, a grim smile on his face. As the council members prepared to leave, Junho approached Elder Kehoe. Elder, may I ask a question? The young assistant said nervously. Of course, young one. Why would one human ship come here now, after 50 years? Kehoe's 4 hands made a gesture of uncertainty. That, young one, is what worries me most. Humans never do anything without a reason. And whatever that reason is, I fear we may not like it. Captain Ji-min looked out the large window on the bridge of the HSS Relentless. The ship was the pride of the human fleet. It was big and powerful, with smooth black metal on the outside that could absorb enemy scans. Inside, 50 crew members worked at their stations. They were the best-trained humans in the fleet. Ji-min was 35 years old with short black hair and serious eyes. She had been captain for 3 years. Before that, she had worked her way up from the lowest rank. The crew respected her because she was smart and fair. "Captain, look," said Dahyun, the ship's pilot. He pointed to a small dot of light moving toward them. "Something's coming." Jae-min nodded. She had expected this. The alien ships had been following them for hours, keeping their distance. Now it seemed they were ready to talk. "It's a diplomatic vessel," said Officer Hai-jin at the communication station. Hai-jin was young with round glasses and quick fingers. "Much smaller than the warships. It carries no weapons that our scanners can detect." "Good," Jae-min said. "They want to talk, not fight." The bridge crew watched as the alien ship came closer. It was beautiful with glowing blue lights and a shape like a sea creature. It moved gracefully through space. "They're hailing us, Captain," Hai-jin reported. "They want to talk." Jae-min straightened her dark blue uniform. "Open the channel." Hai-jin pressed some buttons, and a screen lit up. 3 different alien faces appeared. One had blue skin that seemed to glow. Another had 4 arms and gray skin. The third had a face that reminded Jae-min of a cat, with golden eyes and short fur. "This is Captain Jae-min of the Earth ship HSS Relentless," she said clearly. "We receive your hail." The alien with 4 arms spoke first. "I am Elder Kaiho of the Galactic Council. We request permission to board your vessel for diplomatic talks." Jae-min nodded. "Permission granted. Our docking bay is open to you. You will be treated with full diplomatic respect." The aliens looked surprised at her easy agreement. The screen went dark. "Lieutenant Sung-min," Jae-min called to her second-in-command. "Prepare the meeting room and tell security to be present but not visible. We want our guests to feel safe." Sung-min nodded and left the bridge. "Do you think they'll listen to us, Captain?" Hai-jin asked quietly. "They're scared," Jae-min replied. "But they're here. That's a good start." 30 minutes later, Jae-min stood in the docking bay as the alien shuttle connected to the Relentless. The door opened with a soft hiss. 3 aliens stepped out, looking around nervously. Jae-min recognized them from the screen. The blue-skinned one was a female Narukthi named Jurai. The 4-armed one was Elder Kaiho. The cat-like one was called Do-yoon, from a species Jae-min didn't recognize. "Welcome aboard the HSS Relentless," Jae-min said, bowing slightly to show respect. The aliens exchanged surprised glances. They had clearly expected something different. Perhaps they thought humans would be rude or aggressive. "Thank you for receiving us," Elder Kaiho said, his voice deep and formal. Jae-min led them through the ship. The aliens looked at everything with wide eyes. They seemed surprised by how clean and organized the ship was. Human crew members nodded politely as they passed. In the meeting room, Jae-min offered them seats. The chairs had been specially adjusted to fit their different body types. Again, the aliens looked surprised at this thoughtfulness. Once they were seated, Ambassador Jurai leaned forward. Her blue skin flashed with patterns that showed her nervousness. "Why have you entered our territory?" she demanded, her voice sharp. "You must know this is a violation of the peace agreement signed 50 years ago." Jae-min nodded. "I understand your concern. We're here for a specific purpose. We're searching for a missing science vessel, the HSS Explorer. It disappeared in this sector 3 weeks ago, with 42 crew members aboard." The aliens looked at each other. Do-yoon, the cat-like alien, spoke for the first time. His voice was soft but clear. "We have detected no human vessels in this sector before yours. Nevertheless, the Explorer's last transmission came from here," Jae-min said firmly. "It was on a peaceful mission, studying space anomalies. Then it stopped communicating. We traced its emergency beacon to this sector." Elder Kaiho's gray skin seemed to become more transparent with doubt. "Your military vessel seems excessive for a search mission. The Relentless is a destroyer-class warship, is it not? Why send such a powerful ship for a rescue?" Before Jae-min could answer, Lieutenant Sung-min entered the room. He walked quickly to Jae-min and leaned down to whisper in her ear. Captain, we've confirmed it. The debris field matches the explorer's materials, and we've recovered 2 escape pods. Jaemin's face darkened. She stood up. I need to show you something. Please follow me. The aliens hesitated but then stood up. Jaemin led them through several corridors and down to the lower level of the ship. They entered the massive cargo bay. In the center of the room sat 2 small escape pods. They were designed to carry 4 people each in an emergency. But these pods looked wrong. The metal was warped and covered with strange burn marks. The windows were cracked. Dark stains that might be blood could be seen inside. The aliens gasped when they saw the pods. These were recovered yesterday, Jaemin explained. They're from the Explorer. Only one had a survivor, and he's in our medical bay fighting for his life. She pointed to the strange marks on the pods. These aren't consistent with any known weapons, not yours and not ours. Something attacked our science vessel, something you may not be aware of. Ambassador Jury stepped closer to examine the pods. I've never seen damage like this before. Nor have I, said Elder Kaiho, using all 4 hands to scan the pod with a device. This energy signature is unknown to our database. So you see, Jaemin said, we didn't come here to start trouble. We came to find our people and to understand what happened to them. Do-Yoon looked at Jaemin with his golden eyes. If something unknown is attacking ships in this sector, why didn't you inform the council? Why come in secret? The last time humans tried to contact your council, we were met with weapons. Jaemin said simply. We thought it better to investigate ourselves. Elder Kaiho nodded slowly. Perhaps both sides have made mistakes in the past. Perhaps now. He never finished his sentence. A loud alarm suddenly blared throughout the ship. Red lights flashed in the cargo bay. The aliens jumped in surprise. Officer Haijin's voice came over the intercom. Captain, unknown vessels approaching at high speed. They just appeared out of nowhere. They're firing on the diplomatic ship. Jaemin rushed to a communication panel on the wall. How many ships? Identify. 7 vessels, Captain. They don't match any known design in our database. They're using some kind of stealth technology. They just appeared without warning. The diplomatic ship is taking heavy damage. The ship shook as something hit it. The aliens looked at Jaemin with fear and suspicion. Is this a trap? Ambassador Jury demanded. Did you bring us here to? No, Jaemin said firmly. These aren't our ships. We're under attack too. As if to prove her point, the ship shook again, harder this time. Alarms wailed louder. Captain. Haijin's voice came again. They're surrounding us. Their weapons, they're the same type that damaged the escape pods. Jaemin looked at the aliens, and they looked back at her. For a moment, no one moved. Then Jaemin made a decision. I think we all have a common enemy, she said. Will you help us fight them? Or should we keep suspecting each other while they destroy us both? Jaemin ran to the bridge with the 3 alien representatives following close behind. The ship shook again as another blast hit them. Red emergency lights flashed in every corridor. When they reached the bridge, the crew was working fast. No one was shouting or panicking. Each person knew their job. Report, Jaemin ordered as she took her captain's chair. 7 unknown ships appeared suddenly. Officer Haijin said. They were hiding somehow. Our scanners didn't see them until they started firing. On the main screen, Jaemin could see strange ships surrounding them. They didn't look like normal ships. They had no straight lines or metal parts. Instead, they looked like huge insects with long legs and strange glowing parts. Evasive maneuvers, Jaemin ordered. Defensive systems only. Do not fire unless I give the order. Pilot Dahan's hands moved quickly over the controls. The Relentless turned sharply, avoiding 2 energy blasts from the strange ships. The ship's movement was smooth despite its size. The 3 alien representatives watched with wide eyes as the human crew worked together. No one was afraid. Everyone was focused. "Those ships," Elder Kehoe said suddenly. "I recognize them from old stories. They belong to the Dreth." "The Dreth?" Jimin asked. "Who are they?" Elder Kehoe's 4 hands moved in a nervous pattern. "Insect creatures from the far edge of the galaxy. They were thought to be just stories to scare children. They're supposed to be collectors who take ships and their crews." "Not stories," Ambassador Juri said, her blue skin flashing with patterns of fear. "The Dreth have been capturing ships for study for many years. We thought they were just legends, but there have been reports. Ships disappearing in empty sectors." The ship shook again as another blast hit them. "Shields at 70%, reported Security Chief Jinwoo. "We can take more hits, but not forever." Lieutenant Sungmin was working at a scanner station. He looked up suddenly. "Captain, I'm detecting something strange. There's a massive structure hidden in the nearby asteroid field. Our scanners almost missed it." He put the image on the main screen. At first, it looked like just a group of floating rocks. But when Sung Min adjusted the scanner, they could all see something huge hiding among the asteroids. It was partly made of rock, partly made of the same organic material as the Dreth ships. Energy signatures suggest multiple captured vessels inside, Sung Min said. "It's some kind of collection facility." Mediator Du Yun moved to Sung Min's station. The cat-like alien had a small device in his hand. He connected it to the human computer. "May I?" he asked. When Sung Min nodded, Du Yun typed quickly. "I'm comparing the energy signatures with our database." After a few seconds, Du Yun looked up. "Including your missing explorer," he confirmed. "It's in there, along with at least 20 other ships from various species." Jae-min stood up and looked at the 3 aliens. "We need to work together. Your knowledge of this sector and our combat capabilities might give us a chance to rescue the captives." Ambassador Juri hesitated, her blue skin changing colors rapidly. Then she nodded firmly. "The Council must be informed. But yes, we will help you." "Good," Jae-min said. She turned to her crew. "New plan. Send a message to the diplomatic ship. Tell them to retreat to a safe distance and call for help." "The diplomatic ship is damaged," Hai-Jin reported. "They can't go far." "Then they'll hide in the shadow of that large asteroid." Jae-min pointed to the screen. "We'll cover them." For the next hour, the Relentless fought a careful battle. It didn't try to destroy the Dreth ships. Instead, it protected the damaged diplomatic ship while moving toward the asteroid field. More alien ships arrived, Council ships answering the emergency call. Together with the Relentless, they formed a protective line against the Dreth ships. In the Relentless's meeting room, humans and aliens worked together on a rescue plan. "The Dreth facility has a weak spot here," Elder Kehoe said, pointing to a map. "A small ship could enter through this opening." "But the Dreth ships guard it heavily," Ambassador Juri added. Jae-min nodded. "Then we need a distraction. The Relentless and the Council ships will attack here, drawing the Dreth ships away. Meanwhile, a small team will take a shuttle to this opening." The plan was risky, but no one had a better idea. Ji-min chose to leave the infiltration team herself. Lieutenant Sung-min would go with her, along with 3 alien specialists who knew about Dreth technology. 2 hours later, a small shuttle left the Relentless. Ji-min piloted it herself. On the other side of the asteroid field, the Relentless and 15 Council ships began a loud attack, firing their weapons at the outer edges of the Dreth facility. As planned, the Dreth ships rushed to defend their home. The shuttle slipped through the asteroids unnoticed and reached the small opening in the facility side. "Ready?" Jae-min asked her team. Everyone nodded, checking their weapons. They were simple stun guns. They wanted to rescue people, not kill them. The shuttle connected to the opening with a soft thud. The door opened, and the team entered the Dreth facility. Inside was like a nightmare. The corridors were not made of metal like a normal ship. They were made of some organic material that felt warm and almost alive. The walls pulsed with a soft light. Strange smells filled the air. "This way," whispered one of the alien specialists, looking at a scanner. "I'm detecting many life forms ahead." They moved quietly through the corridors. Twice they had to hide as Dreth guards walked past. The Dreth looked like giant insects walking on two legs. They had hard shells and multiple arms. Their heads had large eyes and moving parts that might be mouths. Finally, the team reached a huge room. What they saw made them freeze in shock. The room was filled with hundreds of glass pods. Each pod held a person: humans, Narukthi, Velthan, and many other species. The people were asleep, connected to tubes and wires. There, some men pointed to a section containing human crew members. Their uniforms showed they were from the Explorer. As they moved closer to the pods, Ji-Min noticed something strange. Some of the pods held beings that didn't look right. They were mixtures, part one species, part another. "What are they doing to these people?" she whispered in horror. Elder Kaiho had joined the rescue team. Now he examined a control panel near the pods. His 4 hands worked quickly on the alien technology. "This is worse than we thought," he said, his voice shaking. "The Dreth aren't just studying alien biology. They're harvesting technology and DNA from all these different species." "Harvesting? For what purpose?" Ji-Min asked. Before Kaiho could answer, a door opened on the far side of the room. 3 Dreth entered. They were different from the guards, larger with more modifications. One had what looked like human arms attached to its insect body. Another had glowing blue skin like a Narukthi and patches on its shell. "To create themselves," Ambassador Juri whispered in horror. "They're taking the best parts from each species, our technology, our biology, even our DNA, and using it to improve themselves. They're making themselves into the perfect species," Sun Min said, "by stealing from everyone else." Ji-Min looked at the sleeping humans in the pods, then at the modified Dreth across the room. Her hand tightened on her weapon. "Not anymore," she said. "Today, we stop them." Ji-Min looked at her watch. The small team had placed explosive charges at key points throughout the Dreth facility. Now they had to free as many captives as possible before everything blew up. "We have 15 minutes before the charges detonate," Ji-Min announced to her team. "We need to move fast." They had already freed 20 humans from the Explorer and 15 aliens from other ships, but there were hundreds more still in pods. "We can't save everyone," Sun Min said sadly, looking at all the pods. "There's no time." Ji-Min nodded. "We focus on those who can walk. The medical pods will have to wait for the second rescue team." They moved quickly through the strange corridors. The walls seemed to pulse faster now, as if the facility knew something was wrong. More Dreth guards appeared, but the team avoided them when possible and stunned them when necessary. Ambassador Juri helped an injured Narukthi walk. Her blue skin flashed with patterns of worry. "There are too many guards near the exit," she said. "We need another way out." "This way," Elder Kaiho called. He pointed to a map he had downloaded from a Dreth computer. "There's a secondary docking area 2 levels down." Outside the facility, a fierce battle raged. The human ship Relentless fought alongside 20 council ships against the Dreth fleet. The Dreth ships were faster and had better weapons, but they fought in a simple, predictable way. Admiral Yunho watched from the bridge of his flagship. For years, he had warned the council about the danger of humans. Now he was fighting beside them against a common enemy. "The Dreth ships always attack in the same pattern," he observed. 3 ships on each side, 1 in the middle. "That's their weakness," said his first officer. "They don't change tactics." Admiral Yunho thought for a moment, then opened a channel to all ships, including the Relentless. "This is Admiral Yunho. I have a new strategy. Concentrate fire on the lead vessel's propulsion system. Ignore the side ships." On the Relentless, Acting Captain Jin Woo received the message. "It's risky," he said to his weapons officer. "The side ships will hit us hard if we focus on the leader." "But it might work," the weapons officer replied. The Dreth seemed to follow their leader blindly. Jinwoo nodded. Do it. All weapons on the lead Dreth ship's engines. All the council ships and the Relentless changed their attack. Instead of firing at all the Dreth ships, they focused on the leader. The Dreth seemed confused by this change. Their neat formation broke apart as the ships tried to protect their leader. Inside the facility, Ji-min's team had reached a large central chamber. It was different from the rest of the facility. This room had clean lines and looked more like a laboratory than a living thing. In the center stood a massive device. It was made from parts of many different ships and technologies. Some parts glowed with energy. Others pulsed with a dark light. What is that thing? Some men asked, staring at the device. Elder Keiho moved closer, scanning it with his device. His four hands trembled as he read the results. This is worse than we imagined, he said. This is a planet-killer weapon. It uses technology stolen from at least 12 different species. The energy core is based on human fusion technology. The targeting system uses Narukthi bioscanners. The power amplifiers are Velfon quantum technology. They've been stealing the best technology from each species they capture, Ji-min said, not just to improve themselves, but to build this. According to these readings, it's almost complete, Elder Keiho added. Perhaps 2 more weeks of work. Ji-min looked at the weapon, then at her watch. 10 minutes until the charges blow. Those explosions won't be enough to destroy this thing. She made a quick decision. We need to modify the charges. Target the central core of this weapon instead of the support structures we planned. She began pulling explosive charges from her bag. She had kept 2 extras for emergencies. Now she placed them on the central power core of the planet killer. Ambassador Juri stared at her with wide eyes. That would create an explosion 5 times larger than we planned. The rescue ships might not escape in time. Trust me, Jae-min replied, already rewiring the explosives. This weapon can't exist. If the Dreth complete it, they could destroy any planet that resists them. While Jae-min worked on the explosives, some men and the alien specialists continued guiding captives to the escape shuttles. The people they rescued were weak and confused after being in the pods for so long. Many needed help to walk. 7 minutes, Jae-min said as she finished with the explosives. We need to move. Now. They ran through the corridors, helping the last group of rescued captives. Behind them, Dreth guards had discovered what was happening. Strange alarm sounds echoed through the facility. The shuttles are just ahead, some men called. I can see them. The docking area held 5 small shuttles. Most were already full of rescued people. Ji-min helped the last few captives into the final shuttle. Is that everyone? She asked, counting quickly. Yes, Elder Keiho confirmed. All the rescue team members and 73 rescued captives. But there are still hundreds left in pods. We'll come back for them, Jae-min promised. But we can't stay now. The shuttles launched one by one, flying away from the facility as fast as possible. Ji-min piloted the last shuttle herself. 3 minutes, she announced. We need more distance. In space, the battle was turning. With the leadership damage, the Dreth fleet had fallen into confusion. Several ships were trying to return to the facility. The shuttles are clear, reported Officer Haijin on the Relentless. All rescue team members accounted for. Pull back, ordered Jinwoo. Maximum distance in 1 minute. All the Allied ships began moving away from the facility. The Dreth ships seemed confused by this retreat. Some followed, while others returned to the facility. On Jae-min's shuttle, everyone watched the timer count down. 30 seconds. 20. 10. Brace for impact, Ji-min called. The explosion started small, just a bright light in the center of the facility. Then it grew rapidly. The central core of the planet-killer weapon added its energy to the explosion. A huge wave of light and energy burst outward. The shuttles and Allied ships were far enough away to avoid destruction, but the shockwave hit them hard. Ji-Min's shuttle tumbled end over end before she regained control. When the light faded, nothing remained of the Dreth facility except scattered rocks. The shockwave had also disabled all the remaining Dreth ships. They floated in space, dark and powerless. "We did it," Sung-Min said quietly. 3 days later, the rescued humans and aliens were safe on a council medical station. The disabled Dreth ships had been captured. Scientists were studying the Dreth themselves, trying to understand their biology and technology. On the bridge of the Relentless, Captain Ji-Min met with Elder Kai-Ho, Ambassador Juri, and Admiral Yun-Ho. The mood was serious but hopeful. "Your species is indeed unpredictable," Captain Ji-Min, Elder Kai-Ho admitted. "But today that saved us all. If you had followed the original plan, the planet killer might have survived. And if your ships hadn't fought alongside us, we wouldn't have survived the Dreth fleet," Ji-Min replied. Admiral Yun-Ho, who had feared humans for so long, nodded slowly. "Perhaps unpredictability is not always dangerous. Sometimes it is necessary." "The Council has voted," Ambassador Juri announced. "Earth is invited to send representatives to the Galactic Council. After 50 years of separation, humans will join the galactic community." 1 month later, the Grand Council chamber was full. For the first time, a human sat at the round table. Captain Ji-Min wore a formal uniform with new symbols that showed Earth's membership in the Council. "Today marks a new beginning," Elder Kai-Ho announced. "Today, we welcome humanity as equal partners in the galaxy." The fear that had existed for 50 years was not gone completely. Trust would take time to build. But something important had changed. The species of the galaxy had seen what they could accomplish by working together. In monitoring stations throughout alien space, officers still watched their screens carefully. But now, when human ships appeared on their scanners, they were greeted with respect instead of fear. The former enemies had discovered something more powerful than fear: mutual respect. Where scanning a human warship once caused panic, it would now be greeted as the arrival of valued allies. As Captain Ji-Min looked around the council table at the faces of beings from across the galaxy, she smiled. The stars were no longer walls between different worlds. They were bridges connecting new friends. The end.